Welcome to the Retro Graveyard, the show where each week we take a different piece of old discontinued video game hardware back from the grave to give it a retrospective. And this week, we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo e-reader. The Nintendo e-reader was launched on September 16th, 2002 in North America for a suggested retail price of $39.95. This thing is pretty ridiculous. It's this humongous attachment for the Game Boy Advance. It nearly doubles the size vertically. It has an LED scanner right here that scans these special cards that have what Nintendo calls dot codes printed on them. Just one of these codes would store 3,360 bytes of information, or, 3 kilobytes. The build quality is excellent. You can really tell it's something Nintendo made. It came packaged with the sampler pack that contained one NES game, I got Pinball, some Animal Crossing cards, a Game & Watch game, as well as a few Pokemon cards, which they had dot codes on for a while. In fact, the e-reader was created because the Pokemon Company's president wanted a way to store more information on Pokemon cards, so he contacted HAL Laboratory's president who promised him a solution, and this is what they came up with. So you'd go to the store and buy these packs of cards, which were $1.99 or $2.99, and these cards actually contained the game on them. I remember them mostly being NES titles because, if there's one thing Nintendo's good at besides making games, it's finding ways to get you to buy those same games over and over again. To be fair, it did make a lot of sense to put NES games on them. They don't take up a lot of space, and everybody knows and loves them. But even those tiny games take 5 cards with 2 codes each for a total of 10 scans just to play. And trust me, the scanning does not work very consistently.
Read error.
Fortunately, the e-reader does have some onboard storage, so the last game you scanned will still be playable without you having to rescan. In fact, I still have Excitebike on here from years ago. The software is pretty clunky in that once you load up a title, you can't go back to the menu and rescan. You have to turn the system off and on again, which is a bit weird. The cards themselves are pretty good. High quality printing with nice graphics and lots of information on them.
Read error.
The NES ones have the box art and instruction manual on the back, so they're definitely not wasting any space. Just to be clear, these cards aren't just unlocking some data already stored on the e-reader when you scan them. The data is actually contained within these little dot matrices on the cards. So in a way, it's almost like a predecessor to the downloadable content we see today.
Read error.
Nintendo seemed to have thought the same way. There were a handful of games like Super Mario Bros. 3 here that you could get add-on content for via packs of e-reader cards. Sounds cool, right? For that game, there were different kinds of cards. There were bonus levels, demonstrations, and switches that altered elements of the game. It's a really fun idea, especially for the time. But there's a bit of a problem here. See, the Game Boy game goes here, and the e-reader what do I do? How do I do this? Well, it turns out, to do the whole add-on content thing, you would need 2 Game Boy Advances. Unless you wanted to link up with a GameCube, as some GameCube games supported this too. But either way, it's starting to sound like quite the process just to load up a bonus level. Load up the game on one Game Boy, load up the e-reader on the other, link them together, and then you'd scan the card to unlock the content.
Read error.
The e-reader never did that great with regards to sales, although it did do okay in Japan. It's just not much more than a novelty. It's fun the first time you load up a game by tediously scanning a bunch of codes into your Game Boy Advance, but it gets old fast, especially nowadays when there's tons of other ways you can play these old titles. So that's it for the Nintendo e-reader. If you had one of these things, be sure to let me know what you thought of it. Leave a comment. I'm sure lots of people have fond memories of it, as inconvenient as the thing is. Also, be sure to check out our other videos and subscribe, as there's much more Retro Graveyard to come. Thanks for watching.